Okay. Here we go. All right. So, I think it's just me in here right now. Oh, no. Chris is here. Hi, Chris. Can everybody hear me okay? Chris, that means you? Okay, perfect. I'm going to close up this window and see how this goes. Okay, so it seems that they've mirrored my stream for some reason. I'm not sure why that's doing that. Yeah, see, they've just mirrored it. I have no idea why or if I can actually fix that. Let me check my settings real quick and see how that works. Control room. There's nothing in the control room. Gosh darn it. Cameraman? Why the heck is it doing that? Okay. I'm still working on this. Please bear with me. I can't seem to... Oh, okay, so it's not mirrored. All right, well, thanks, Chris. It looks like it's just mirrored on my screen for whatever reason. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I am using a Sakura Pigma Micron pen. Let me just adjust everything here. Yep, a Sakura Pigma Micron 01, and it is black. I will also be using a mini Zentangle pencil to do my shading today. Sometimes I will use a bigger pure graphite pencil. And this is its fun little thing is called a tortilla. I'm just going to call it a blender. And these fun little things, bear with me here. These are tiles. So this tile is blank, just to kind of show you what it is. And it's 3.5 inches square, you know, like the old diskettes. Nobody's going to get the reference. And, well, you'll get that reference because, you know, you're old. Here's our back of our tile. Dun, dun, dun. Isn't that fun? Here's the tile that I'm going to be doing today. And as you can see, it's already got my string on it and my border and all that other fun stuff. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. Actually, just give me 1 second. Here we go. Okay. I'm going to pop some music on with my handy dandy phone. It's just going to be classical, non-vocal stuff. All right. So I'm going to start off with a pretty standard pattern, printemps. If I can kind of get this to work. I'm using a watercolor travel watercolor kit to hold up my pen or my webcam. So A string means, yeah, no. I definitely will. It'll be part of the class. Can you still hear me okay over the music that I got going? Hello? There's a delay. If there's a delay in me responding to your messages, it's just because there's I have to open a different window in order to see. Okay. I have to open a different window to see actually any of the comments, any of the chat that's going on. And because there's a slight delay between what you see. Yeah, I didn't, sorry. There's a slight delay between what you're seeing and how I'm saying it. Frozen. Ah, Theodore. Okay. Can you see my pen move? Because I wasn't doing anything, so it might not have been frozen. All right. Anyway, I'm going to get started, guys. Thank you for popping by. Bear with me. I said I was going to start with pentatonic. I lied. I'm going to start with a different pattern. Is it focusing okay for you? Can everybody actually see what I'm doing? Just going to go back in and thicken these lines now. I'm still using the Pigma Micron 01. I do have a Pigma Graphic 1 that I usually use to thicken my lines, but I'm not using that tonight. Because this is just testing my setup. Test, test, test. Wee bit of blur. Focus isn't great. Okay. Sorry, guys. I'll see what I can do about that next time. Actually, hang on. Let me see if I can't get one of the overhead lights. One of the problems is the tile is so friggin' white against the gray background that it's not really showing up. I'm gonna try to use a different thing to put my webcam on after next time, so that you can, hopefully that'll alleviate the focus issues, and so that it'll be a little bit further out of my way. All right, let's see if that makes it a little bit better on the shadow from my hand. I think that might just make it worse though. No? Okay, I think we're good. What was I doing? All right, thickening lines. This is really awkward. I'm going to need a different webcam stand, because this is just pissing me off. So the pattern I'm doing right now is called Tortuga. Normally you wouldn't have to thicken the lines like I am. Hang on. Let me see if I can't. There. Normally you don't have to thicken the lines like I just did. But that's what I'm doing right now. Oh, you bugger. Come on. There we go. Okay. So now that I've got my grid down, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to draw some spirals inside each of the spaces of my grid. They don't have to be perfect. Mine very rarely are. And you'll notice that I've got a whole bunch of partial grid. Here we go. A whole lot of partial grid spaces. I'm going to tangle in those anyway and just kind of draw behind. The technique we call is drawing behind, which means whenever I get to the edge, I'm going to lift up my pen and then come around like that. So the actual start of my spiral is under here. You guys are my first guinea pigs. Thank you. Kind of loving it a little bit. Just ignore the Alfred Needler. Clearly I'm at work.
Coast Guard Radio, Alpha Meter, Roger. I'll catch you loud and clear as well. Thank you, and have to watch. Good morning.
So this is Tortuga. There we go. So this is Tortuga. And I'm going to move on to a different section now on my tile and try something different. Actually, I'm going to do one of the patterns that I taught my students today. This one is, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's YNIX. And it's a great little border pattern. All right, hang on. Let me adjust my hand placement here. There we go. Turn my tile, turn, turn, turn. I'm going to give this an outline. We call this an aura. Yes, the tile is the square itself. And do the patterns start from the outside? It doesn't matter. It's however you want to draw them. It doesn't matter. Normally, if I was teaching a full-on class, there would be a lot more explanations in terms of what we're drawing and how we're putting it together and all that other fun stuff. But today I'm mostly just testing my setup, so I'm just randomly tangling. And once again, you'll notice that when I got to the edge here, I drew in behind. So you never want to really overlap your lines. Anywhere you've already tangled, you're going to draw behind. And I turn my tile a lot because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be very comfortable when you tangle. Again. I said you're supposed to be comfortable, and the way my arm is right now, I'm really not comfortable at all. Irony. Okay. Just gonna tuck another in over here. And I'm just gonna leave the rest of that space. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna continue it. I'm gonna continue this pattern, and I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna continue it up here. So just kind of like it came out from underneath my Tortuga. Yes, I feel soothed. And I'm glad you feel soothed as well. That's kind of what it's for. It's meant to be a great relaxation technique. It doesn't hurt that I've got this kind of soft teaching voice that I use. Just calm and relaxed. And I always feel like I'm channeling my inner Bob Ross when I'm teaching a Zentangle class. Hang on, let me adjust my camera just a little bit here. Yeah, with like happy little patterns and all that other fun. Yes, exactly, happy little tiles. Oh, no, that shadow's no good. Hang on. There we go. This is a crappy little webcam that I got on, I think, like Amazon for 20 bucks or something. And you'll notice that I've got like little lines. Well, you probably can't notice it, but I've got little lines here when they go over, and that's okay. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. And what's going to happen is when I shade that, when I take out my pencil after I'm done, and I shade it, you're really not going to notice it. I'm not here for perfection. I'm here to relax. There we go. Ah, yes. They do make us appreciate the light. That's what they're for. All right. Next pattern. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take this little triangle here, and I'm going to tangle in that one now. This pattern that I'm about to do is called Perk. It's one of my favorites. And this is going to be, actually, you know what? I'm going to extend this to be kind of down here, right along the edge of my tile. Perk is generally done in a curve, in a loop. But I'm doing it in a triangle today. This is another one that I taught my class today. High school students are, I only had 2 of them show up today, and my group is generally about 4. But I think one of my students was out sick today. And yeah, this, I'm not sure if you can see that, but this line of graphite along here, this pencil line, it's called the border. And again, it's a suggestion. So you really, I'm just ignoring it. It's just how I roll today. Now I'm going to go back in and fill in all these little creases, because Perk is about being nice and smooth. You don't want any rough corners or rough edges. You want to go back in and fill that in. It also helps the orbs stand out a little bit better against the ribbons. So when I started the stream, it posted automatically to my Twitter feed, and it did it in both English and Spanish. I thought that was interesting because I don't have that set up. They just did it automatically, and I don't speak enough Spanish to say that I'm streaming in Spanish. on my tile again, because it's all about being comfortable. You don't want to strain your hand when you're doing any of this. Okay, now it is Perk. It is P-U-R-K. Thanks for popping in, Brian. I am searching for my Pigma Micron graphic one right now, and I think I left it home. So, yep, I left it home. So I'm not going to color in my ribbons today. I'm going to do this section down here now. And I am going to do a variation on a tangle pattern called Hollabaugh. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just tracing along my pencil lines. And that's going to give me a nice structure, a nice framework. And now I'm just going to start drawing. Hollabaugh is about, it's one of the fundamental patterns that we teach. And you teach drawing behind. So you notice that I came along here. I'm going to lift up my pen and continue my line along the other side, which is a fundamental Zentangle technique. And that's why Hollabaugh is one of the first patterns that we teach. I'm just going to keep adding boards until I feel like stopping. And you'll notice that I'm not going all the way to the edge. There's a reason for that. And I'll get to that when I'm done. Oh, Facebook notification. Somebody remind me to close Facebook before I stream next time, because that's annoying. There we go. Okay, so now I have all the boards that I want in here, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to go in between, and I'm going to kind of connect between the border and in between the edges of all my lines to kind of give it an organic feel so that it looks like all my boards are growing out from the side. Thank you, Chris. It's a very useful reminder. Okay. And the best part about doing it this way is it doesn't have, like, because of the organic feel of it, it doesn't actually have to look perfect. The lines don't have to be straight. Because I can't draw a straight line if my life depended on it. So there we go. Normally what I would do is I would go in, and all the spaces in between my boards, I would normally go in and color those in with the Pigma graphic one. But because I left that home, I'm just going to leave them white tonight. A Hollabaugh can be done. You can just leave them white, or you can put little dots in them, or you can color them all in. It's really up to whoever is tangling. Okay, so I'm down to two different sections in my tile. This little tiny one right here, and this bigger kind of arrowy shaped one right here. I'm actually going to ignore this part of my string, these two lines of pencil. I'm going to ignore those, and I'm just going to use that entire space as one. which is why we do this, which is why we draw those strings in pencil, because you want that to disappear underneath the ink that you're using to draw. So just give me 1 second here now, because I need a sip of water. All right. Next pattern I'm going to do is called, what is it called? Actually, what am I going to do? Oh, I'm going to do droop. D-R-U-P-E. This is a fun one. This one's kind of organic too. It's not a grid tangle, but it does use a framework. So this is the framework that we're going to use for it. And I'm just going to go into each of my sections. Excuse me. I'm going to go into each of my sections here. I'm going to aura it, which means I'm going to lightly outline pretty close to the original one. In each of the wedges. Now I have 6 wedges this time. Sometimes I'll do this with 8 wedges, just because it's easier to do. Turn. These arcs that I'm drawing in each of my wedges, they don't have to meet up. Mine kind of do, but they're not perfectly lined up, and they don't have to be. Now I'm going to create some space, and I'm going to draw my next curve a little higher up, and you'll notice that I lifted up here. When I got to the edge of my Enix, I kind of pulled that up. I'm going to stay inside my border for this one. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'll go all the way to the edge of my tile, but not tonight. Oh. I've got space for one more partial one up here. Now the next step in this one, once you finish with your little, your radiating ribbons, you go back and you kind of thicken the bottom line of each of your ribbons. Again, normally I would take the graphic one for this, but again, I taught my high school class this afternoon, and my high school group, yay! And I left that in my teaching bag. I've been teaching at the high school now for, well, I mean, I've been doing after-school Zentangle classes at the high school on Monday afternoons for about an hour. And I've been doing that now for, oh gracious, I guess 2 months? It's an alarm. You can ignore that. It'll go off now in a second. There you go. It's one of the hazards of doing this at work. Sorry. I realize that I move the tile a lot, and that's just, again, part of it is a comfort thing, and part of it is just because I'm trying to get it centered on the screen. I'm failing miserably at that last part. Okay, so this one's almost done. I'm going to go back into all the different sections now and just kind of add some radiating strokes outward. No fire. Nothing's on fire. That actually, our fire system announces itself. It goes fire, because our fire alarm system is bilingual. It's very annoying, actually. So I'm just taking my pen and I'm giving these quick little strokes. And there's no set number that have to go in each wedge. It's just however many I can. Not necessarily that I can fit, but that I want to put in there. This is a tangle that looks really awesome when it's colored in. Actually, it's a tangle pattern that looks flippin' awesome all the time. Okay, so this is my completed tile. I am going to go back in and shade it. But for now, pen capped, because I'm finished with my pen for now. The next step involves my pencil and my blender. And I'm going to go back in, and right now it's very flat. It's very black and white. It's very it's there. I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to add some graphite, and then I'm going to, but first, before I do anything, I'm going to close Facebook. There. Right. So I'm going to take my pencil and I'm just going to add some graphite, and then I'm going to smudge it out with my blender. I'm going to start with Tortuga. It's spelled with a C instead of a G, so it's not quite like the Spanish word for tortoise. Although otherwise it is spelled the same. So right now I'm just going along one side of my grid lines. I'm going to take my blender now and kind of soften that out and smudge it up a little bit. Oh, it's really dark. Oh, that's why. I need a new blender. You'll notice that there's a lot of graphite on this. All right. Have a good night, Chris. Night, Jen. Thank you for popping in. But yeah, you'll notice that I've got a lot of graphite on the tip of this blender. And actually, let me just flip this out. Oh, oops. There we go. So you can kind of see that I don't need to put down. I don't need to use my pencil all the time. There's still graphite on the tip, which is part of the reason that it's so dark on my tile right now. I need to take out a new blender. Okay. I'm also going to go along the edges of my halaba. Kind of add some dark along there to kind of show that my Tortuga is coming out from underneath. Kind of give that a little bit of shade there. I'm not going to pull that out too far. I'm just going to smudge it up a little bit. All right, so that's Tortuga all nice and shaded. And And the next thing I'm going to shade is Hullabah. Hang on, let me spell Hullabah for you guys in the chat. It looks kind of like Hollybow, but it isn't. And what I'm going to do with Hullabah is I'm going to lightly, very lightly, put graphite along all of the edges and the inner spaces. So you just want a tiny bit of graphite. And that's going to give us more illusion of depth. One difference between Zentangle and more traditional drawing methods is we really don't care where your light source is. If you pick up some Zentangle books, some of them will say to use a single light source and do all that other fun stuff. And you can, but you don't have to. You can just ignore your light source. And that's one of the hardest things anybody who's taken a traditional art class has to learn. But no, all my shadows have to go the same way. No, sweetie, they don't. Trust me on this. No, it does seem to be a little bit of lag. It could just be the difference too. Hang on, let me turn off my background music. See if that makes a difference. Okay. Good? Is that better now? Excuse me. It might just be the fact too that I've been at this, like we've been streaming now for a while. All right, and so basically what I'm going to do now with my graphite is I'm just going to pull. I'm going to soften this around the edges. Perfect. There we go. Just soften that right up and kind of give the illusion of a little bit of depth in there. You'll notice that I'm not pulling my graphite all the way into the middle because that's not really how this is supposed to go. You do want the lighter spots in the middle to kind of bring out and to highlight. Again, there's no point in filling it all in with graphite because then you're not going to have highlights. It's just going to be all shadow. Oop, sorry. All right, I'm going to do my perk next. And perk's a really easy one to shade. You just want to draw your graphite down the sides and then just kind of pull it in. so that it gives you the illusion of depth. Again, the illusion of depth. So that it looks like it's kind of like this part is closest to you and the edges are further away. And my perk extends off my tile. See? Quick, easy, dirty shading. Done. All right. Now this one comes out from underneath here. So I'm going to draw a quick line of shading from my Tortuga. Quick line of graphite and just kind of pull that a little bit up like that. For this one, I'm going to shade it a little bit differently. I'm going to put some graphite down at the bottom of each of my little leaf shapes. And I'm just going to gently pull that toward the top of each of the leaf shapes. So you've got kind of a gradient thing on the go. And because they layer, it gives you a really cool effect. So once again, a little bit of graphite down at the bottom of each of the shapes. And just gently pull that up toward the top. I'm going to do the same thing down here on the other side. Now because I have an aura on the inside, or sorry, on the outside of this pattern, I do have options when it comes to the shading. I could shade between the pattern and the aura. I could shade outside the aura and kind of make that pop a little bit more. I don't think I'm going to do that tonight. I might after I finish shading Droop, which is this one over here in the corner. I might do that, but I haven't really decided yet. Oh, forgot one. There's always one or two with all these little multi. I always forget one. And apparently I can't finish my sentences either. Oh, it's been a day, let me tell you. But I'm here now, and you're here with me too, and that's awesome. So thank you once again for stopping in and joining. Again, this is just my test. Maybe I'll make it a regular event. Who knows? Who knows? Okay. So I've got that one done. Hang on, let me see if I can't get that to focus a little bit better for there. I recognize that it's still a little bit out of focus, but you can see the shading just a little bit better as it's further away. There you go. Okay. So now with this one, with Droop, I'm going to do a similar concept. Graphite in the middle and pull it out. Only, I'm not just going to put it on the outside of the wedges. I'm going to do it on the inside as well. Stick with me. Everything will be made clear. So now that I've got this mostly done, I'm just gonna grab my pen real quick and show you. Here's where the original pencil line, right there, that's where the original pencil line was that I decided to ignore. And you can kind of sort of, if you look for it, you can see it. If you're not looking for it, it blends into the background. And that's why we use light graphite to do our framework, our background string. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a metric ton of graphite. I'm really going to lay it down super thick and super dark. Right in the middle. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my blender and I'm just going to pull that right out. So that the seams are really, they're really quite dark, but you still do get that gradiated shading effect as you're pulling it out from the middle. There we go. There, so everything is all nice and shaded. Two things left to do. Initial the front. I'm gonna tuck my initials right here today. And then I'm going to sign and date the back. And today's the 29th. Well, it might not be the 29th where you are, but it's the 29th where I am. Although technically I started on the 28th. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Now, if I wanted to, I've got plenty of space back here that I could add different notations on it. Like you'll notice that right here it says string exercise number 4. That's because I drew the string on this. The pencil marks the outline that I started with. I drew that at seminar this summer when I learned to become when I became certified to be a Zentangle teacher. We did an entire exercise on just drawing strings, and this was the 4th tile I did for that. So there we have it. This is the tile that I have tangled in my first live session. And I'm going to cut out now. I'm going to call it a night. Thank you very much, folks, for popping in. And I realized that I have to change my setup in terms of moving my camera further away so that it gets better focus. But I do appreciate y'all being my guinea pigs tonight. Thank you very much. And I am going to sign off. Cheers.